So you've got to ask him, you've not taken a half time and sat them down on the pitch, have you?
Strangely, the cameramen, you're available to everybody these days with Google and you name it.
I'd like to welcome Phil Brown all the way from where? Where are you?
I'm in Goa, in India.
Oh, lovely. Lovely.
Well, it's not lovely, Rob. It's inside of a hotel, basically. I'm in a bubble.
Are you? Go on. Tell us all about it. Right. So you're working for Star Sports, are you, on the hero Indian football, basically? Is that right?
Yeah, Star Sports invited me over to be an expert analyst in the season 7 of the Hero ISL.
Got that wrong, straight, didn't they?
Absolutely. And it's in conjunction with IMG Reliance. It's one of them where everybody seems to be pulling together. I tell you, Rob, it's frightening how it's worked. We're on match 97. There's a game every day, 2 on a Super Sunday. It's one of them. So there's 8 games a week, basically. Came across in November, had to go into full 14-day lockdown quarantine in a hotel, in a bubble. There's 60 people in our bubble. There's 60 people in another bubble in the Marriott. And then we've got 3 venues. We've got Tilak Medan, we've got Bambalin, and we've got Fatora, 3 stadiums. And obviously there's 11 teams competing in it, and everybody's in their own bubble. And it's unbelievable how it's worked. Nobody's gone down. We had a couple of scares at the start of it. I think a couple of Northeast players had to go back into quarantine, but it's absolutely, touch wood, obviously. It's absolutely brilliant the way it's worked. And we're 13, 14 games before the finals.
So physically, your hotel, stadium, back, stadium, back, simple as that.
Yeah, we've got a swimming pool. I could take you outside and show the swimming pool. I know you were saying spend a lot of time at the pool bar. I'm afraid not. I've not been allowed to use the pool. Can you believe it? I've been allowed to use the pool bar, but not the pool. Unbelievable.
There's always a compensation somewhere. So, I mean, that's absolutely extraordinary. How have you been? I mean, there's a lot of talk. I mean, I was going to talk to you about the cricket, obviously going on in India at the moment, and the England team have been in Sri Lanka in bubbles, and there's all talk about mental health and all this kind of thing. What's it been like for you personally? What about for the other teams?
Everything has been a test. There's no doubt about it. There's been a physical test. There's been a mental test. A lot of teams came together late. Robbie Fowler is in charge of SC East Bengal, and they didn't get together till probably 10 days before the season started. And you knew them first 3, 4, 5 games were going to be pre-season friendlies for them, And I was thinking, same applied to me last year at Hyderabad. We got together. I think I pulled together my last 5 foreign players 3 days before the window closed. That's when the franchise came together, Rob. And when you've got no preparation, I kid you not, it's so important pre-season. Not just for fitness levels, but for getting everybody into a bubble, getting to know each other, the logistics of it all. And Robbie struggled at the start. He's just getting his team together, and he's fighting with officials. He's fighting with the Indian way, the methods, and this, that, and the other. And he's just sort of got himself to a stage where his team's playing well, but now he's basically out of the competition and he's looking for a little bit of pride. And he's got one of the big games, the biggest game in India, is SC East Bengal versus ATK Mohun Bagan, massive derby match, and that's on Saturday. And I'm doing the game. I'm doing the co-coms for the game, so I'll be building it up.
Fantastic. Do you know what? When I was in Dubai, I commentated on the I-League, as it was then, for a couple of years. I mean, and Trevor Morgan, obviously, with your Bolton connection and what. I mean, he was in charge. He was in charge of East Bengal, and it was Bengal against Mohun Bagan was just ridiculous. I mean, for people who'd never watched a game of Indian football, I mean, it's Celtic Rangers, it's Liverpool Everton. It's unbelievable, Rob. It's beyond, isn't it?
Well, it's Trevor got me over here. He applied for the job at Pune City, and when he didn't get the job because he didn't have the credentials. And what I mean by that, I'm not being disrespectful here. He didn't have the credentials. What his credibility of not working in the top league in Australia or not working in the top league in England, and he didn't pass the test basically, but he got there on what he did at East Bengal in the I-League. But it's still not the top league in India. ISL is top league. So consequently, Trevor, in the interview, cleverly, he just said, a friend of mine's just been relieved of his duties at Southend United. At Swindon Town. And he managed his whole city. And straight away, the guy went, Phil Brown? And Trevor went, yeah. Said, I can get him across in a couple of days if you want me to. And lo and behold, I got the job. So that was the start of my journey about 3 years back, Robin. Now I'm doing broadcasting. Just to help it along until the next challenge comes along, you know.
Well, I mean, tell us about your experiences in India. I mean, it must have been a big culture shock to start with in terms of the football, the way they go about it. I mean, when I was commentating on it, it's not a different game. Football's football, but there's idiosyncrasies, aren't there? Like the refereeing, and during the I-League, the refereeing maybe wasn't the best. The goalkeeping certainly wasn't the best. How did you find it, and how have you enjoyed it?
That has improved, Rob, and you would expect it to over the course of 6-7 years, you know. And it's improved, I've got to say, it since my time at Pune in 2018-2019 season, and last year at Hyderabad. Yes, it's a cause of concern, and I think the PGMOL in England, you know, you've got to give them every credit. They're contributing to the referees over here, and what they've done this year, I think, has been above and beyond the call of duty. But I think the pandemic's actually helped them. They've been stuck in their own bio bubble in a hotel, and obviously feedback is immediate. It's instant. There's a different referee every day. They've got a squad of about 8 referees, linesmen, officials, whatever you want to call them, and they're all in their bubble. So it is constant feedback for them. And I think 4 or 5 have emerged with a real good chance of getting the semi-finals and the finals, which is great news for them. But there is obviously a standard that needs to improve further yet again, but they're actually trying. I think the biggest problem where referees are concerned is they don't get paid enough. They don't get a professional wage, and therefore, you know, what can you expect? We had that in England 25, 30 years ago, you know, when the referees weren't professional, you weren't getting a professional performance. And then I think it was more or less the likes of Sam Allardyce and people like that, they were screaming for professionalism, improve the standards, improve the fitness. And I think it's only a matter of time before that actually happens over here. Where goalkeepers are concerned, there's probably 3 or 4 absolute outstanding goalkeepers and their national team keepers. You know, Igor Stimac, he's a good friend of the show. He comes on Football United. He's a good friend of Paul Macefield. I think you'll know Mace.
Yeah.
And he's in constant contact. And I've got to say it, Robert, I think the young Indian talent that's coming through now, there's a
Brilliant.
couple that I could mention. There's a kid called Suresh at Bangalore, and there's one called Apuya at Northeast. They're absolutely, the babies, they're 20, 21-year-old, and they've had absolutely fantastic seasons. And I'm banging the drum. I'm saying, you know, to Igor Stimac, take them. Why not expose them to that international scene? Because it's coming, you know. And I think they will improve. I think Stephen Constantine had 4 years and he did improve the national team, but he actually closed the doors. You know, he had 30 players and that was it. He never deviated from that squad. Where I think Igor Stimac's concerned, he's in Croatia watching it from afar, the Hero ISL. And I think he's been going, wow, you know, there's a lot of young talent coming forward, and it's probably the next 10 years of the national team.
What about you managing? I mean, managing in England to managing, say, Pune. I mean, what are the obvious? What are the first differences? I mean, Robbie's in trouble for shouting at officials and all this kind of thing. I mean, how did you change your own style and your own approach to the game?
Well, you've known me a long time, Rob, and one of my ambitions, I always harbored an ambition to coach abroad, to manage abroad, to play abroad. And as a player, I didn't deviate from anywhere but England, and in the lower leagues, it has to be said. But then you go into management and coaching, and you start at Blackpool, and then you do well at Bolton as an assistant. Then you start on your own journey as a manager. But I always kept that ambition burning alive, and I didn't know when it was coming. I had no idea. And then to get a phone call when you're 59, you've been in the game 40 years, and you get a call to go to Mumbai for an interview. It's like, what's this all about? And then you get the job, and you're going into a changing room with 18 Indians and 7 foreigners. And then foreigners were Ian Hume, who you'll know, Matt Mills, there's two that you will know. Marko Stankovic, who I knew from Champions League football. He was an Austrian. So I had a Canadian, an Englishman, an Austrian. I had a Spaniard. I had two Brazilians and a Uruguayan. That was the mixture of the foreign players. And I just went in there and I thought, they're the better players. They're the ones you've got to spend less time with on the coaching field. The Indian boys need my help. So I went in there and I said three words. I said, Imandari, I said Yakin, and I said Bharosa. And that means belief, trust, and honesty. Can I get this wrong? I'll literally be 2 seconds.
Go on, help yourself, mate. That's a great thing about all our interviews.
I know, it's quality. Babe, I'm just doing a Zoom. I'll have to speak to you later.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
bye.
see you in a bit. That's the wife.
Yeah.
So I gave them a little bit of Hindi just to let them sort of think, be serious about this. And they were my big words, you know, honesty. I just want honest performance. I want you to believe that we're going to be successful, and you've got to trust me. If we're going to go forward together, you've got to trust me. And they loved it, absolutely loved it. And from that moment, we had 8 games to go. We won 5, drew 2, lost 1, and we almost qualified for the playoffs from being bottom of the league out of sight. So the franchise was then sold from Pune to Hyderabad, and I was kept on as head coach, and the rest is history, as it were.
You're commentating now. Would you stay out to do the next season? Would you like to do it as a manager again?
Yes, I was offered an opportunity, and I turned them down. I'm not being disrespectful there. I turned them down, and it was only the fact that they wanted me to stay till the end of this season and not give me another year. So I wouldn't accept that, Rob. It's already going in behind somebody and cleaning up somebody's mess. By definition, that's what you do at for that moment till the end of that season. But I wanted a guarantee of the following year and make, have the mess. Give me the opportunity, but they weren't prepared to do that. So we respectfully turned each other down, basically. But yes, I would certainly consider it if it come along.
Is it an advantage for you having experienced 1.5 seasons and then commentating in the league to somebody coming in new? Would you say?
I would have said it was a massive advantage. I would have said I'm in pole position. Okay, you could say that the pandemic helps where that's concerned, but has it helped anybody? You're in pole position because you're in a bubble, and the ISL are in the same bubble. So when this bubble bursts, and I mean when the season's finished, all of a sudden there'll be 200 coaches available for jobs left, right, and centre. At the moment I'm in the prime pole position. But the other part for me, the advantage of this, I know the Indian League now. I know the football. I've been every game. I've seen every game. I've been to probably out of the 110, I've probably been to 65, 70 of them. So all of that gives you pole position, in my opinion. And the Kerala Blasters guy lost his job last night, having been beaten by Hyderabad, my former club, got beat 4-0. And Kibu Vakuna, who won the I-League last year with Mohun Bagan, he lost his position with 2 games to go. So that's the 4th manager in 11. And will there be any more? I don't know, Rob. But yeah, I would have said it gives me a massive advantage.
When you're not pandemicking and you're managing and you're touring all around the country, I mean, come on, what's the difference in a night out to a night out in Bolton?
What's the difference? I think it's more dinner with a bottle of wine these days, isn't it? It's I tell you what they've got over here, though. They've got some absolute great guys, party animals. They love a drink. They love. I just love the Punjabi people. I think the music that they play over here is fantastic. And there's a squad of them here. The cameramen, the engineers, they all get together. I tell you, Rob, 6 o'clock in the morning, you're bouncing up and down like a lunatic. It's taken me back to when I was 15. It's crazy, man. But you never lose it, Rob. You never lose it.
How does your humour transcend to different nationalities and foreigners?
I don't.
What do they make of a mad Geordie over there?
Well, I've got we've got our own sort of talent group, as it were. You know, the experts, the anchors, the press lads, the commentators, the co-commentators. And John Helm's been over here. My word, what a legend of the game he is!
Lovely fella.
He's about. I think he's about. Well, I'm not going to talk out attorney. I think he's about 78.
22, Helmy, going on about 14. Yeah.
I think he's about 78, and the stories he tells are just as if you were there yesterday. You know, he just remembers. He remembers a team from 1958. Well, I was born in 59. I just can't believe it, you know. But transcend the humour. I think they've got a wicked humour, the Indians. I think it's brilliant. And if they talk in broken English, you know, which every so often you get a little, you can actually have a laugh with them. But when they speak our language, I think it's hilarious. I think I really have always enjoyed Indian humour, strangely enough.
Have you? I mean, I've got to ask you. So you've got to ask him. You've not taken a half time and sat them down on the pitch, have you?
Strangely, you know, the cameramen. You're available to everybody these days with Google and you name it, whatever, Rob. You know, Wikipedia. So as you're walking through the hotel, you know, one of the kids that cleans your room or somebody in reception. Oh, we heard that you were coming, and before you know it, they know you inside out. So I've had people sit down in front of me. Yes. So I've just had to wave the finger. It's almost like an umpire. I'm always giving them out. But that's the sense of humour, Rob. It's brilliant.
That leads me on to my next one. I mean, how is the interest growing in the game there? And obviously, it's always going to be, well, I say always. I mean, cricket's the one, isn't it? I mean, you've got mass series now with India and England. How is it growing, the popularity, and is it growing?
Yeah, it's growing. There's no doubt about it. Certainly the viewing rates that we're getting, we can't actually relate it to anything. We can't say it's better than last year because this is a pandemic, and as you well know, everything's totally different. It's brand new. But you've just had a second test. In England won the first test. Nobody spoke to me for a couple of days. Then India won the second test and smashed us out of sight. Everybody's partying, so I joined in the party, no problem. But I made the mistake when I first came here, Rob, that you think you can turn them around overnight, and it just won't happen. You know, it's probably something like 95% of the population are cricket mad, and you've got 5% that's left to share football and kabaddi. What else? Hockey maybe, but football's certainly on the up. Star Sports have contributed to that immensely, you know, and I think this production will stand us in good stead for next year because of the pandemic, you know. People are turning towards it. There's definitely an influx of young talent that's coming into the game that are a lot better in terms of the technical side. I don't think you can ever change the way they are physically. I think they've got a low body fat straight away. They're built to last. You know, I'm talking about long distance. So if you want somebody to run 12 kilometers at a high rate, a high intensity, you've got an Indian boy without a shadow of a doubt. He'd be able to achieve it. All you've got to do is try and tweak up the technical side of it, which is something I've been trying to do since I've been here. But I actually went public with my first press conference saying that I want to affect the Indian game and I want to affect the parents of the young Indian boy that's born now. Instead of handing him a cricket ball when he's first born, maybe give him a football to start learning to play football. And you don't realise what you're taking on. You're actually taking on well, you know what cricket is over here. It's phenomenal, isn't it?
It's a culture ingrained, you know.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Institution,
absolutely. Yeah, institution, yeah, you're right. Would you come back and manage in England?
I'm still touting myself around in England at the moment. There's a lot of jobs.
And having said that, would you consider going, you know, Far East and et cetera, et cetera? You said you'd love to manage abroad. I mean, having lived abroad, I always think that once you have lived abroad or experienced abroad, you kind of want a bit more. That's the way I feel.
Yeah. No, I share that. I share that interest. I share that thought. I've just been married, Rob, to a beautiful bride, and
fantastic.
She's a little bit.
My friend.
She's a little bit younger than me, which is going to keep me alive for sure.
Everybody's younger than you, mate.
I like it. But so it would be a joint decision. But she loves abroad as well, and who knows where it takes you in the future. But I'm not finished with abroad for sure. If something comes up, I just love the sunshine. I love the better weather.
So do I.
If you can make a but if you can make a change, if you can actually make a change to the environment that you live in, doesn't matter whether that's England or whether that's abroad, and I think you can make a change. As an English coach, I think the world of football is crying out. I don't think we're no longer tarnished with this long ball kind of scenario. I think we've actually grown up with a better game these days,
I was just trying to think how many times we've sung down the years and in what places. We sang in a Bolton dressing room. And it's all, I'm rated. We sang about that. That's what you do. I mean, it always makes me laugh. You Google Phil Brown. Okay, it's that one as well at Hull, and also singing at the end. When you kept him up. But I'm like, hey, I've seen him sing loads better than that in so many different places. Minnie the Moocher. I mean, come on.
Minnie the
Moocher. Minnie the Moocher in town.
Well, strangely enough, we got on a Zoom call, because we're in lockdown and everybody's trying to relieve the mental side of it.